are here to break down the Honda Classic, all right? Break down the odds. It's the first leg of the PGA Tour's Florida Swing from PGA National.
I know, we're having Sobel on live. This is a lot of pressure for our guy. All right, let's start with a quick look back at last week here. Joaquin Niemann walking away with the win at the Genesis Invitational. We had one DK Sportsbook bettor. Listen to this. He put down $35K on Niemann at plus 2,800 odds. That paid out over $1 million. Ooh. Jason, what did this bettor see that we all missed?
Look, it was good value on Joaquin Niemann. He's a good young player. And I saw a little correlation to what he had done at Torrey Pines for the Farmers Insurance Open, where his first few starts at Torrey, not so good, but then finished in a share of 6th place a few weeks before that. And so didn't have a great record at Riviera, but went out there 63-63 Thursday, Friday, and then held on for the weekend for the wire-to-wire victory. Very impressive stuff for Niemann. Very impressive stuff for a guy or woman who won over 7 figures on him.
For sure. Victory. I mean, like, Jeff, all they had to do was listen to Reed T. Fowler. Reed T. Fowler pushed Niemann, like, in his article on DK Nation. You also slightly mentioned it in our Wednesday edition of the slate, so pat yourself on the back.
Like I said, I just followed the smart people last week. Reed was one of them. But look, I mean, this bettor clearly had a very, very heavy lean to Niemann. If he was placing the bet at 28-1, like when we were talking pre-odds, we were talking like 60-1, 50-1. So I'm not sure when or how this person got it down. Maybe it was in play or something. I don't know. Regardless, this person is amazing because they had a lot of conviction at that number. I mean, Niemann at plus 5,000 or plus 6,000 is a lot different than Niemann at plus 2,800. So shout out to this person. But yes, like Jason said, this is a young player who I think we just kind of saw it coming. I mean, we knew Joaquin Niemann has the talent. I mean, he is, in terms of pure talent, he is right up there with the best of the world. I think he deserves to be in the conversation with guys like Hovland and Morikawa. He just hasn't quite broken through yet, but we're going to see more wins from him. And obviously it started last week. So I think a lot of people aren't too shocked at this result. And there was very good odds to get it done. And if you had the conviction last week, man, it sure paid, as it did for that man or woman, like Jason said.
All right, on to this field, because it is nowhere near as stacked as last week, but Niemann is back in the mix. So at plus 1,800, there are 4 other guys with better odds, including the favorite, Sung-jae Im, at plus 1,000. So Jeff, who stands out to you from these top guys?
Well, I mean, it's pretty clear. I mean, the guy who's going to win this week stands out. It's Louis Oosthuizen. I mean, he's taken a week off. He started his season last week with a T14, gained strokes throughout the bag there. And, you can joke all you want, Emerson. I can hear you chuckling in the background. But who wins? Who typically is the people who come through at the Honda Classic? It's savvy veterans. Matt Jones, guys like Padraig Harrington, good Open Championship players. Jeff Ogilvy has a win here. Adam Scott. Louis has the around the green game to deal with the bunkers here. He's hit it very well in his last 3 starts. He's gaining strokes off the tee again. I really do think this is a very good shot for him to get it done. And if we're looking at the top, I think there's question marks around all the players. Except you can make a case for Billy Horschel, but I'm not really a big Billy Horschel guy at plus 1,800. I'd rather take a shot with my guy, Louis, at plus 1,600 this week.
I mean, if Tom Hoge and Scotty Scheffler can win on the PGA Tour, your guy can win on the PGA Tour.
Appreciate that. And Hudson Swafford.
Yeah, can't forget that guy.
Jason, a couple of guys in that top group, Daniel Berger, Tommy Fleetwood. How do you feel about these guys?
Yeah, so I love Louis Oosthuizen if you're betting on a guy to come in second place. He's never won in the United States. He's been doing this for 15 years. At some point, there's just no win equity to take Louis for a victory. I do think it happens at some point, but boy, you've lost a lot of money for a really long time if you keep betting on Louis to get the win. From this top tier, look, I hate to go chalk, but it's the guy at the top, Sung-jae Im, won this tournament 2 years ago. Last year, a tie for 8th place. He's in the top 10 on the PGA Tour this year, not only in strokes gained tee to green, which is important every single week. It's good to get your ball as close to the green as you possibly can. And Sung-jae is a premier ball striker, but he's also, I believe, second right now on the PGA Tour in strokes gained around the greens. I love the combination of being a good ball striker, but there are times you're going to miss at PGA National. Very difficult golf course. When you do miss, you've got to be able to get it up and down for par. Sung-jae is world class at doing that, and so he's the favorite for a good reason. I don't know that I'm going to dip down and bet him at that number, but if I had to take one of those top 5 or 6 guys on the board this week, he's my guy.
Yeah, Jason. Geoff bets Louis every week, which is why he lives in a cardboard box, and he does the show from his local public library every morning.
Yeah.
Okay, right behind Neiman here, dudes, Brooks Koepka at plus 2,000. It's been a strange year so far for Brooks, really just the past few weeks as well. You can point to that. Small sample size, up and down, missed a cut last week. Finished third in Phoenix, almost made a run there, but had some bad driving in the final round. Missed a cut at the Farmers as well. So what are your thoughts on Brooksy this week, Jason?
I believe Brooks Koepka is probably the most talented player in this field. I also believe he will be a little, let's put it this way, motivationally challenged against this field. We all know what Brooks gets excited about. He gets excited 4 times a year to play the major championships. Now, last week, even though he missed the cut, he might have been a little inspired to play against a field that had all of the top 10 players in the world. This week, we've got none of the top 10 players in the world, only 5 in the top 25. Brooks said recently that he's embarrassed to be outside that top 10. He doesn't think there are that many players who are better than him in the world right now. I just don't see him getting up for a tournament like this. I don't think this is going to be a big week for him. Hold off on your Brooks plays for another 2 months until we get to major championship season.
Okay, Geoff, he is a hard one to peg. I mean, he went to high school 15 minutes from here, tied for second in 2019. What do you think about putting a little bit on him this week?
I mean, I just feel like this field is so wide open. And like Jason said, I think that just betting him at this number in this field, because he probably is the most talented player in the field, is fine. I don't think it's necessarily something you have to go out of your way to do. I'm still debating it personally, but this number does stick out. I mean, you've got guys like Horschel and even my guy Louis and Fleetwood at much smaller numbers than Brooks Koepka. I'm sorry, you're just not going to see that often, right? So I think it's something to really consider this week. I mean, the PGA National, it may not be like a driver-heavy course, but we have seen plenty of U.S. Open winners, plenty of Open Championship winners. There's guys who play well on tough courses come through here. And I think Brooks, if you look at his record of this event, it's a little bit better than people realize. He's had some low rounds at PGA National. He plays here. Like you said, he likes playing in the state of Florida. So I actually like this number. I'm just not sure. I'm not sure if the form is quite there for Brooks. I do think the motivation will be there because, I mean, again, he's outside the world top 10, and I think he wants to win pretty badly right now. But I'm just not sure if the form is there. So I'm still debating it. I do think this is a number you won't see on him normally in these type of fields, though. So.
Okay.
All right, Geoff, let's talk about Matt Jones. He was last year's winner. He tied an 18-hole record here in the process. 61 in the first round, rode that all the way to a 5-shot victory. Are you confident that he can put together a nice weekend here? He's plus 5,000 to win, plus 400 for a top 10.
I'm not very confident.
Okay.
That again, no. Yeah. I mean, it's just the type of player that Matt Jones is, right? He's a streaky journeyman type of player. He's got 2 wins now, but the wins came like almost a decade, or not a decade apart, but like 6 years apart or something. And I mean, like Matt Jones he's been an okay. I mean, he's not like terrible this year, but he's nowhere near really the form that we saw from him at the start of last season, where he posted a top 10 at the Genesis. So I think Matt Jones, what you're seeing, why he's at plus 5,000 this week is just simply he's got the course history, and a lot of guys with good course history this week, they're getting their odds, just sort of slammed down. Like Matt Jones, with his recent form, should probably be closer to plus 10,000, in my opinion. And I think you look at this range, there's just far better values on players who've started the season better. Russell Knox certainly comes to mind, plus 6,500. Chris Kirk, a guy I really like, a plus 7,000. I think those are very comparable players, guys who also have multiple PGA wins, and they're just available at way better odds, and they're playing better. So, no, I'm not really interested in Matt Jones. Hopefully he's surprised, and you can all make fun of me again on Monday, as usually happens, but he's not for me this week at this price.
Jason, is the course history enough for you to be interested in that plus 400 for a top 10?
I might be a little more conservative and play a top 20 ticket on Matt Jones. I'm with Geoff. I'm not sure I'm going to go digging too deep into Matt Jones this week. It's hard to be a defending champion. I don't think people realize that you show up this week and, okay, there's more interview requests and autograph requests, and you got to do some stuff for charity, and there's a whole lot of people pulling at you from every direction. So the guys who have won multiple times on the PGA Tour, a Dustin Johnson, a John Rahm, a Justin Thomas, Rory McIlroy, the guys that are used to it, that have done this a dozen times or more in the past, they understand the time constraints on them. They understand everyone kind of pulling at them. The guys who haven't won that much, like Matt Jones, he's going to show up this week and he's going to go, well, I didn't have enough time to prepare. I didn't have enough time to get myself ready to go out and defend my title. So I don't love him. I certainly don't hate him. I don't think he's going to play terrible golf. But like I said, top 20 tickets probably the furthest I'll go for him this week.
Jason, let's talk about some of the guys you are fading. Is it a little easier this week with a weaker field, or with so much parity, a little more difficult?
No, I think it's more difficult. I think it's more wide open this week. I don't really see too many guys at the top. Joaquin Niemann, if he does indeed stick around to the opening round, I still am skeptical that we're going to see Joaquin Niemann actually tee it up on Thursday morning. But if indeed he does make that cross-country flight and decide to tee it up this week, I'm not sure why, after the mental and physical exertion needed to win and carry that lead for 4 straight days last week, I'm surprised he's playing. And he will be a full fade for me. Look, he's playing with house money. Sometimes that's a good thing at this course where you go, hey, house money, I'm freewheeling it. I can be aggressive out here. Aggressive doesn't work at PGA National on this hard of a golf course. So I don't like him. And the other one, I am very bullish long-term on Matthew Wolfe. I think it's going to be a very good year, a bounce-back year for him. I am not bullish on him in the short term. I think this is as bad a golf course as you can find for Matt Wolfe. In fact, I'm very puzzled as to why he didn't play last week at Riviera, a course which should suit his game pretty well, and decided instead to come over to Florida and play this one this week. But I'm going to take a wait-and-see approach on him. There are times when I'm definitely going to target Matthew Wolfe this year. This will not be one of them.
Yeah, he's got plus 3,500 odds this week. Jeff, is there someone you're a little bullish on? I mean, someone that I guess you're going to steer clear of? I know we talked Daniel Berger a little bit yesterday. Like, he's been a little banged up, right? And his odds are plus 1,600, third best.
Berger's a little bit of a wild card this week, but I just feel like with the talent level that, I mean, again, I think you could put him up there with Brooks in terms of just being like the clear kind of top plays. So I'm actually fine using Berger this week. I mean, again, I don't think you need to go out and bet him necessarily at under plus 2,000, but the player I'm more interested in fading is a guy who also played well last week. It's Cameron Young, plus 5,500 now in the betting odds. Those are too short. And if you're jumping on him in DFS, I just feel like you've kind of missed the boat here. This is a really big venue change, as Jason just alluded to. Like it's just the exact opposite of Riviera. We're changing putting greens. There's water everywhere. It's Florida. There's wind. It's open, in pretty much every facet. It's a big ask for like a young player who's coming off of like a really mentally exerting week to just come in here and play this for the first time. So I think Cameron Young is a player who, again, I think his long-term prospects are great, but I'm not necessarily running to jump on this week or anything like that. And I think from the top players, I really have questions. I mean, we've seen a lot of English players and foreign players do well at this event, but guys like Lowry and Fleetwood coming in, I think they're better top 10 or top 20 plays than outright plays. So it's not like a straight fade, but I wouldn't be jumping on these guys in the outright odds. I would play them more as sort of, just sort of a low variance plays and in different markets than the outright market. So that's how I'm looking at sort of the foreign guys who haven't really made too many starts yet either.
All right, Jeff, which long shots do you like? Swinging from the West Coast over to Florida. A guy that jumps out here if you move down the board, CT Pan. He was in the top 5 at the Honda Classic last season. He had a T3 finish, and he's coming off a top 10 finish at Riviera.
I swear to God, I've had about 10 people tweet at me that it's CT Pan week.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody, and now Jesse's on him too. So
I'm on him.
I guess, look, if it was Emerson, I'd be dismissing this. But if Jesse likes him, that's a different story. So maybe I should be getting on CT
Consider
Pan.
him.
I mean, look, the course is good for CT. I mean, he's a great wedge player. He's definitely, doesn't mind like the tougher courses. We've seen him win at a comparable course in Hilton Head too. So I don't really mind it. I prefer to go further down the board here though. I prefer to go to Sun Kang at plus 3,000. This player gained over 4 strokes on approach in his last start. He's available at plus 700 for a top 20. He's played PGA National multiple times. He's a pretty slick putter too. He's ranked up there in strokes gained putting. His around the green game has been fine of late. I think Sun Kang, if you're looking for a real long shot, a guy at plus 3,000 right now, plus 30,000, on the DraftKings Sportsbook, and plus 700 for a top 20. That's who I like. He's also only 6,600 for DraftKings. That's going to be my long shot target this week.
All right, which long shot guy are you going to target here, Jason?
I've got to give you a few names. I can't narrow it down to just one because I've got a few triple-digit guys that I'm targeting. Instead of a CT pan at 70 to 1, where there are a bunch of guys in the 50 to 1 range, if I'm going deep, I'm going really deep this week. Sam Ryder, everyone saw the viral video of him getting a beer shower on 16 in Phoenix a few weeks ago. I think what most people don't realize is the next day he finished in 23rd place. A week after in LA, he finished in 26th, riding a heater and coming back to his home state of Florida. Should be a good one for him. Dylan Fratelli is underpriced in the marketplace. This guy in his last 12 starts, okay, he's missed 6 cuts, but he's also finished in the top 36 times. It's sort of an all or nothing, high ceiling, low floor for Fratelli. He does have some win equity there. Doc Redmond is a guy that I've just been betting nonstop for the past couple of years. Coming back to Bermuda Greens should be nice for him. And the last name that I'll mention, Chase Seifert, was in the field, then wasn't in the field. He got knocked out. Got into a 16-for-1 playoff for the final spot in the Monday qualifier, which bled into Tuesday. Didn't get that spot, but right after he didn't get it, somebody else bowed out of the field. He got back in. This guy finished in the share of 3rd place last year, plays his best golf in Florida. I could see Chase Seifert, the Florida State product, having a really nice week after he wasn't even on the board to start the week.
Jason, before you take off, who wins the Honda Classic? Who's your pick?
My favorite outright this week is, and I've been working on this all week, I've got to get it right if I'm picking the guy, Christian Bezuidenhout.
Yes!
That's the best I can say it. He's really good tee to green, and like I said, you want that combination of a ball striker, tee to green, and a guy that can get up and down from around the greens. This is not going to be a birdie fest. This is not going to be an event where you got to go 25 under and got to make a ton of red numbers to get at the top of this leaderboard. He's won 3 times over on the DP World Tour, the former European Tour. In 2 of those situations, nobody was going low that week. It was tough conditions, and so he can play tough conditions really well. I don't love the number, but I do like the number, 50 to 1, I believe, in the DK book right now. And so he's my guy that I'm going with this week. But yes, I don't mind sprinkling it around a few outrights around that number and a little bigger this week.
Dude, you are in luck, Jason, because Geoff Ulrich has an odd obsession with South African golfers, and he pushes Bezuidenhout consistently here on this show.
Yeah. It's a very redeeming pick after he bashed Louis. So I like that one. I'm just going to go with the veteran South African, though, and stick to my guns. I do think this is a good spot for a guy like Louis to pick up a win. And I made him my target in the upper tier guys. So we'll go with a little bit of the chalk there in Louis at plus 1,600.